also at the Universidad Andrés Bello, Guatemala, and in Chile. So he started off south of the border from here, and then came to the US and to do postdocs at SUNY and the University of Minnesota, and then joined Virginia Tech in 2017, correct? And he has been spectacularly successful since that time. He has multiple grants from NSF. He's participating in 2 DoD grants. He has fundings from NIH, both a KO, which is a really prestigious award, as well as the NSF Career, which is another very prestigious award. So he's full of all kinds of wonderful ideas and lots of funding to support those ideas as well. He has published already in his career 8 book chapters, 119 articles, has an H index of something 46 or something crazy. So he's incredibly well known, and his work is incredibly well known. He works with all kinds of animals and critters, horrible diseases like hantavirus and mange and all kinds of things that he gets pulled into. He's actually on the advisory committees for 2 of the 2 DAs. So well, I won't name them, but anyway, both involved, both the associated with disease, but also with thank you, invasive species. I should know that. So very highly sought after for his expertise. He's involved in 2 of the IGEPs as well, the IGEP and that Global Change IGEP. So he's known all over campus by all kinds of people. I met him in Steger thanks to the FLSI and bringing all kinds of different people together into buildings. So very pleased to have him as a colleague, even though we don't do anything related to what we do. But it's really going to be fun to hear about what he did with this sabbatical, which I kind of got to see on the outside. I see his students always involved in prepping for these enormous trips to South America, to Colombia, you've gone, and to Chile both. And we'll get to see a little bit of what you did in that regard today. Thank you so much, Luis.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Brenda. And also thank you for nominating me for this talk. I think it's the most difficult talk I have had in the last 7 years. Like the seminar for my position here, maybe the previous difficult one. And this one was like, how can I develop a structure for this? So I like academia. I guess one of my goals here is to invite you to join us in academia. It's not a new business. It began like a couple of thousands of years ago. This is the one, Plateau is the first person that began thinking, okay, we can develop an institution to do tertiary education. That time, philosophers have their mentees and they were traveling, but like academia, like we know today, a place where you go, you apply. He was the one proposing that. And this is a painting of Raphael, who was like him. This was an imagination of how academia was looking. In the center, we have Plato in red and Socrates on the right. And everybody here has something special. If you read it, it's very, very interesting, actually. And do you know where it is, this fresco? No? Okay, it's in, I'm asking, and it's an honest question, because I wanted to see it in person in El Vatican, and I missed it. I didn't find it. So it was so many people. We were with our daughter, and I need to go to the bathroom, and I think we missed this fresco to go to the bathroom with her. So I think I need to go again. But the 5 top things for which I really like academia is, first, you need to be workaholic if you want to be in an R1 institution, research intense. But there are some benefits. One is academic freedom. I can study frogs, cancer, anything I want to study, and that's really nice. I have colleagues in other institutions of intense research, like CDC, for example, and they don't have this freedom that we have in academia, even if they do heavy research. Job security and stability. For example, having tenure, but even if you don't have a tenure, it's a very stable business, let's say. Also, a flexible schedule. We have the summer breaks, like three months. I didn't join academia for the summer breaks, but now I love them. And a very flexible schedules too. But this is very tricky because if you don't control this, it's going to invade your life and it's going to dominate your life, right? Mentorship, I really like teaching. I also like mentoring students. That's something I enjoy. And also this industry focus on upgrading the faculty. Like people should like be very cutting edge in technologies and theory. So they push us to travel to conferences, present our work, have a networking of collaborators, apply for funding to have fun and do research and sabbaticals. And we can have discussions about each of these because it's very tricky if you leave them to dominate your life. But I'm going to focus on sabbaticals here. The concept of sabbaticals is also not new. There is this idea of the Sabbath in Hebrew, like the seventh day to rest. Also the Seba, which means seventh in the Old Hebrew, or the pagan term of Sabbato, which means the end of a lunar phase, or Sabbath in Arabs, which was rest day. What we know is that we don't know what's the origin of Sabbath or sabbatical. And I saw in this article that it's a field where you don't want to, it's very sensitive because there is religion involved. And you're going to see some links that I'm cutting and pasting. It's a mess with my references, but that's because we decided to make this presentation a paper. So we're going to write a short note just for fun to help authors, because there is not much literature on this. The oldest reference to this kind of opportunities in academia was from University of Sydney, a public university in Australia. And it's from the 60s, the early 60s. And they said, we are giving leave of absence without pay to the faculty. And we found that that's actually very positive to the university. So we are going to keep doing that. They say that at the same time, Harvard began giving leave of absence without pay. And they proposed the idea of sabbaticals in 1880. The difference now is that the president was saying we are going to pay the leaves. And in 1 year before, in 1979, the president of the university said, you know what, in his annual report, he said, we have been analyzing data of 20 years of leave of absence, and we found that it improves the university. So they began to promote that. He was president for 40 years, by the way. These are the first 10 universities that began adopting sabbaticals. The first two public universities were University of California and University of Illinois. And also we have that by the 1920s, 50 universities already adopted in their policy the sabbaticals, that is leaves with payment, including Oxford and Cambridge in Europe. And they are considered the pioneers in sabbaticals. At that time, in 1920s, also this person who originally was a businessman and then general and then vice-chancellor, that I think is like a provost, I'm not sure. But he said, you know what, we don't need sabbaticals in academia because faculty have 3 months of vacation, so they can use that to grow and to learn and to rest. But remember, he was not a scientist, and science needs time. That's one. You cannot come with great ideas if you're under pressure of time. Needs training and needs money. And at that time, the ones that were taking the summer breaks to improve their skills were the ones that had money from their families. So generally, or not necessarily the ones with more talent were taking advantage of the sabbaticals. So he ended alone in his ideas. So definitions of or general characteristics of sabbaticals are: it's not a long vacation. You need to be eligible, and according to Virginia Tech, it's not a right; it's a privilege that we gain. Actually, we need to apply and show a record of production to say, "Hey, I deserve this." Maybe But across universities and countries, it's 6, 7 years, and then you can take the sabbatical. There are some institutions that want you to wait 10 years, but that's more rare. Could be 1 semester or 2 semesters. Funding, in general, the university gives you 1 semester of money, and you decide, okay, I'm going only 1 semester full salary, or I'm going to split it, so I have 1 year half salary. But the university always gives you half 1 semester of salary. But your benefits, like the health insurance, remains for the rest of the year. The goal of a sabbatical is to improve your teaching, your research, return with more creativity, and improve your networking. And actually, those are the words I use for my proposal, and I'm going to give you an example of that in a minute. But also, something that makes sabbaticals different to leaves of absence is that there is accountability. Before you leave, you need to present and defend a project. This is 2 pages. This is what I want to do. And then when you come back, you need to show like a report. It's also like 2 pages. So I was asking people that I consider my role models and mentors, and that I know they take sabbaticals. And I made 3 questions. Where did you go for your sabbatical? What did you learn? Do you have any advice for junior faculty or postdocs? And I'm super glad to see here a junior scientist, by the way, because this presentation is what it targets you. First is XJ Man. He's a university distinguished professor. He went to Harvard recently. Here he learned how they do research there, how they manage their projects, how they apply for funding. He also learned about organoids. His advice is don't wait too late. Like me, he said, for a sabbatical leave. This is Tom Peterson, University Distinguished Professor, University of Kansas. His first sabbatical was in 2 months in Mexico and 12 months in Brazil. The second sabbatical in 2012, like half semester, because he had to travel a lot. They have a very young grandchildren, so they didn't want to miss the fun. But he spent in Brazil. He learned that these are his words. Sabbatical cemented us as a family and provided a core of shared adventures. In the first sabbatical, he submitted 40 articles to journals. In his second sabbatical, he wrote a paper that now is foundational in my field. His advice for junior researcher is that junior faculty can gain freedom and time to get out of their silo, go outside of your comfort zone, allows you to avoid being strange and focus on the next commitment on the list. And now that I came back, I'm trying to survive. I'm trying to finish things, pending emails like this tool in the Outlook that you have to flag, like important. I have everything red. I still cannot catch up. And then I also asked Brenda, and if you notice from 3 mentors I have that have been in sabbaticals, only 1 woman, and I'm going to go back to that in a minute. These are these are her words. First, don't overplan. I committed that mistake, I think. And then family can accommodate. And I agree with that. Sometimes we're super concerned, and they can, according to Brenda, they may end having more fun than you. And there are many sources of funding, and there you can find some surprises. I'm going to give you a glance on that. Don't be waiting for what's ahead, and again, don't overplan. And her first sabbatical was 1 semester in the Netherlands. Whole family. And the second sabbatical, he waited 10 years, and that's a red flag here, that we were discussing a bit ago. And the second was for 2 semesters, but they had to return early due to COVID. So that's What the literature says about sabbaticals, what I found is that it's essential to improvement of faculty. It's like an upgrade when you return. You are the 2.0 version. Institutions agree that you return with more energy. I agree with that. They don't agree about what's the structure. Should we rest? For example, I didn't mention that I was going to rest in my proposal because that was a very fuzzy context, I think, in the instructions of Virginia Tech. Also, should we stick around or completely disconnect? Funding, how can apply for funding? And if there is a structure to take a sabbatical and there is no structure, there is consistency across universities that when you return, you increase your production, you gain leadership traits, improves your mental and physical health, and you are more committed to your university and increases the likelihood of retention of faculty. So it's a good investment for universities. In the private sector, McDonald's was the first company that formally adopted sabbaticals in 1977. And now it's like 1 in 5 companies have that option in the US. But there are disparities. I divided disparities at the institutional level and individual level. Institutional level is because not everybody has chances to take sabbaticals. For example, research intense institutions like R1 universities, we have more funding, so we can leave. We have less teaching load. But institutions that teach more, they have less chances to take a sabbatical. Also, discipline-specific biases, like the arts, that they have less big grants like we have in STEM disciplines, they have less chances to take sabbaticals. At the individual level, your type of appointment, some institutions don't allow non-tenured faculty to take sabbaticals. So untenured faculty, which actually is dominated by women and faculty of color, tend to be less eligible to take sabbaticals. Career stage junior tend to generally take less sabbaticals and they wait more for 2 reasons. They believe that they don't have what is necessary to apply. And second, they believe that the expectations when you return are too high. And that's not true. You could return with 0 papers and say, I improved my network, and they believe it. So we have gender disparities, and women tend to take advantage less of the sabbaticals than men. And I would like to stop a little bit here in the gender disparities. First, one of the challenges is that eligibility for sabbaticals include that you should have a strong record of production. It doesn't matter your discipline or if you are more teaching or more research, you should show a strong record. And women are more likely to take part job appointments or focus more in non-tenure appointments, so have more flexibility to attend the family, and also have lower positions of leadership. So the CVs in the end tend to be more harmed. Also career stage and timing, women tend to take more breaks and delay, for example, going for tenure early or at time. So in the end, in the whole career, then they are less eligible to take sabbaticals than male peers. Cultural responsibilities, for example, in our culture, women take more care of house duties. And if you move to other countries, that's even more pronounced than here in the States. So definitely the cultural responsibilities harm these disparities, increase these disparities. And shorter sabbaticals, I was mentioning half semester, 2 semesters, and women tend to have more short semesters, short sabbatical leaves, because they cannot afford to pay the other half of the year, because then they do have a lower salary, for example. So if we focus on disciplines, again, women are underrepresented in engineering, for example, so they tend to have smaller grants, and they don't have the possibility to cover the rest of the year for these leaves. Using the eyes of intersectionality, among women of color tend to have even more disparities. So there is this survey of women of color in academia, especially engineering, and they reported lower salaries, gender discrimination, and systematic racism by white men and women. So we have an issue here, and that's why I was very inspired for doing this presentation and offering my time and expertise. If anyone from these communities wants to take advantage of the sabbatical, I'm at your service. And at Virginia Tech, they don't like the concept of sabbatical because remember, rest, and they don't want you to go and rest. So they use the concept of research leave. And I'm going to use that in this section. But in the Office of Faculty Affairs, they are in charge of checking your application. I leave the link here, but basically you select one semester or 2 semesters. Remember, the amount of money they give you is the same, only 1 semester. Virginia Tech devised that in study research leave, that is the whole year, 2 semesters, or research assignment that is 1 semester, but the amount of the same. You can take the whole year every 6 years, but the half year, you can take it every 3 years. But remember, and then the following 3 years, you can take another one, but they are going to give you funding only for 1 of the semesters. And I was double checking this. By the way, I was asking numbers about people applying for sabbaticals, gender, those kind of things, disciplines. And I'm still waiting for the response. This is the timeline when you want to apply. You need to start in the fall. You submit your proposal to the department head. They say yes. Then they send it to the dean. The dean says yes. The dean submits it to the provost in the winter. Then the provost sends the decision to the approval of the board of visitors in the spring. And after classes end in the spring, like May, you can leave. Actually, we did that. We sold our house in April and we left the country in May. So we enjoy the summer. In Virginia Tech, you are eligible if you are full-time tenure faculty, associate professor or higher. And if you are not in the tenure track, but if you have more than 6 years, you are still eligible. And that's nice because now they are becoming more inclusive, I think, and trying to solve some of the disparities. But you still need the 6 years of service. And you can apply early. You can apply in your first year. There is nothing against that, but you can take it until you accumulate 6 years of service. This is my proposal. I had 3 general aims. Think without interruption. It's insane, like having that as a name. Explore new areas and gain new skills, and develop new collaborations. So easy, right? Easy to demonstrate that I achieved that when I come back. And then these are my methods. I divided that in pre-research leave, like before leaving. And this was an advice from Brenda. She was having the lunches with her husband before leaving, like planning where are we going, the school, and those kind of things. And she said, if you do that, you're going to enjoy the pre-leave stage. And we did that, and it was fun. Then the research, and then I divided that in research, like improvement and well-being improvement. So in the pre-leave stage, it was fun because I was telling everybody, I'm leaving, collaborators, students, and staff. And then program officers, for example, if you work with some agency, like communicate a lot with the host. who are you going to visit, right? So you have everything in place, you know what they want from you. And then logistics of living in a different country, like, okay, what health insurance, flights, like accommodation, right? So what I did in this stage was to, okay, I'm not going to use my Virginia Tech email. Let's use WhatsApp because everybody uses WhatsApp except Americans. So now in my lab, we have WhatsApp, and also the person that helps in my lab, Kelsey, which is fantastic. I gave her my WhatsApp. So he was saying, hey, I need you to sign this fast, those kind of things, right? Like the urgent matter. Also, we went to China, so we had to have WeChat to basically survive, to buy food, to use transportation, for communication. Also, I implemented a document for my lab, so everybody must write what they did the week and their plans for the next week. And we have a lab meeting where I go over that and I answer questions, but it was like to check what they were doing. Also applied for the visas. And I added my Gmail to my Outlook to be able to use Gmail in China because there are internet restrictions there. So I was able to be connected without issues. And the best part was having the automatic reply saying, I'm going to be gone. I may be unable to answer ever your email. That was so cool. And funding, remember 50% salary from Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech doesn't offer like assistance to supplement the rest. There are no grants here specifically for that. I don't know if they would love to use one of the internal proposals. I think no. And they don't have a website with potential funding opportunities. I think that's something we could do. Fair funding, NSF Career is fine with supporting a big chunk of time. Generally, they like only one semester, but if you say, okay, this is to improve my career, they can help you with that. NIH has some career development awards. And also, if you are already tenured, there is the NSF Mid-Career Award. I co-wrote one of these with my colleague, Gideon Westenberg, and he's doing a 1-year sabbatical in my lab right now. So I can help with this too. International, the host institutions may have money for you. And also there are fellowships. Something I want to encourage you to do for those that are going to academia is don't do, because I have some colleagues that made their sabbatical in Blacksburg. Try to leave, take your family if you can do that. It's going to be, we think that the kids are going to return with traumas, but no, I think no. But they found, based on travel, emissions of air travel for faculty across universities, they found that the more you travel, the higher your salary. Correlation. I don't want you to travel more to increase your salary, but that's an interesting point here, I think. Just try to travel. What I did is that I used my NSF Career to cover traveling expenses, like my health insurance, because if we travel for business here, we need to pay for an insurance. KO1 is paying $75,000 of my salary and fringes. So I have some freedom to cover the second semester, right? And also fellowship. I was able to get some money to go to China, to go to Mexico, and to go to Barcelona. And I'm going to explain that in a second. This is in China. I applied to the Chinese Academy of Sciences. This is Hu Chie Chao, my colleague and friend in Beijing. He was my host, and they have the distinguished scientist. That's more like based on the color of your hair. If it's very white, you are more eligible to this. Like somebody more established. You can go 1 to 2 weeks and good funding. Then the younger leaders, like PhD students, they have also grants for postdocs. I got like $2,800 a month. So they helped me with that. That was very useful, the flights and things like that. This is the other one when we went to Europe. the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. You can apply to go to 40 countries that are developed, and Colombia. I don't know why Colombia is there, because generally are countries that are super rich and have a lot of money. But they give you a fellowship, and the success is very high, 50% success. So if you submit 2, you're going to get 1. And they give you more 670 euros per week, up to 6 months. And again, all over the world, if the country has money, they're going to be in this list. And finally, the host institution. All universities have these visiting professor positions. You can apply to their internal grants, or they can help you. For example, one time I spent time in Ecuador, and they gave me a small house that they have inside the campus for free. In Mexico, we went and they offered us housing, and my wife didn't like it, so we had to rent. But they even if they don't have money, maybe they have other resources. When we were visiting Mexico, they didn't have a figure of a fellowship. So what I did is that I went to visit them. So I say, hey, I can organize a workshop for you for free. I did a workshop for faculty. I met with postdocs, other faculty. This was my host, Dr. Daniel Jimenez Garcia. He arranged a meeting with the vice provost of research, or Dan Sun. And he said, we can give you some funding to stay here, stay all the time you want, up to 1 year. They give me like $1,000 per month, plus housing, which they didn't use. And also when we had some trips, they were like covering my travel expenses. And from this visit, which I cover from grants, we ended also with a paper. So it was a very useful visit. So I will suggest scouting also to see if it's a nice place, good colleagues. What I did, the structure of my sabbatical was a weekly plan. So only working from Monday to Thursday to have a long weekend. Also 1 or 2, I tried to do that. Like first week was a mess. So I didn't have anything the first week. And then the second, something else is that some days I was unable to have a structure because I had a binge, like I need to write this proposal, I need to make these changes of the paper. So I really had to work. Daily, I split my days in 2, 4 hours to read and writing in the morning, and then checking my emails, having Zoom meetings. I really did my best to having very few meetings. When I left here, I was having 7 meetings a day. Some days it was a mess. I needed a sabbatical to recharge. And I focus on going to take and pick up my daughter from school, for example, is something I tried, and it was fun. Having weekly meetings, I committed one mistake. I left with 7 PhD students. Next time, I'm going to graduate all of them. I'm going to leave. So I had the Zoom meetings, checking everybody. We have the 3 minutos locos, the 3 crazy minutes. So everybody presents a paper, 3 minutes. And also the WhatsApp, they were showing photos, so I could believe what they were doing. This is more or less the map of the travel. We have a Christmas tree there because we came for Christmas, but the rest, 12 months outside. For research, the first month in the summer, we went to Chile to do field work. I have a project there to study wildlife. As part of my trip, I tried to escape the field work, and I have this excuse of organizing a workshop. And we give certificates to Virginia Tech students that attend, or local students. So I was one month in Chile, then 1 month in London to attend a meeting of the Lancet journal. This one here is the editor of the Lancet. If you don't know, the Lancet is a journal with, last time I published there, impact factor 200. And it was fun because one colleague, Chris Murray, presented preliminary data of his work in this meeting, and he's raised his hand. And, I have a question. Have you submitted it? No, send it to me. It's interesting. Right? Then I realized we really need to attend meetings to open these opportunities, right? This was in the British Medical Association. And then, I also had the opportunity to visit the Wellcome Trust, that is like NSF in the UK. Super nice, very nice experience. I went to Switzerland. If you don't know, Virginia Tech has a center there, Stiger Center, nice place. But I was able to, this was organized by ZZAP and the Destination Area of Pandemic Prediction and Prevention. And I met this guy, Serge Moran. We have published together. We were co-editors in a special issue in a journal. And this was the first time I met him. And actually, I saw him because we never had a Zoom meeting or anything. So it was a nice experience. In Beijing, I did research at the Institute of Zoology of the Chinese Academy of Sciences, give some seminars, wrote some papers. They are very ahead in some areas of bioinformatics. They're developing new tools, large data sets. So it was very stimulating for me. I also visited Hong Kong. It was nice to see my photo in an elevator. But we arrived, I was traveling with my family everywhere, and we were in a typhoon. It was like 6 from 8 levels, super high. When we arrived, all the windows in stores have like wool. We're, not a good day to visit Hong Kong. But it was very interesting for us to see all this British influence in that part of the world. I also went to Shenzhen with a colleague, Mangxi, and this is his lab. And these are his PhD students. And we are working with him and sending a student. I wanted to send her this semester, and she said, no, I want to go next semester. But he's working with us very closely. And this is the room of the hotel that he prepared for us. And something I realized in this experience abroad is that other countries are very more embracing families. And that was nice. Airports, super friendly for kids, playground areas and things like that. And this one, my daughter didn't want to leave. We have a kitchen. In Mexico, I went to visit Benemérita Universidad Autónoma of Puebla. And something I did was to have like pizza with the students, undergrad and graduate students. That is very common for us. It's a normal practice here. It was new, so we both were gaining like academic experiences. My host in Mexico visited me in China, so I was able to accommodate him for a month. And I was able to meet other researchers. So we have some interesting projects. Now in Mexico, I didn't have any collaboration in Mexico. Then in Chile, the second trip was to take students. You are going to see a bias here in gender, right? So that's something that I'm very proud of. That I'm trying to train the next generation, and I'm focusing on minority groups. This is a group of undergraduate students across campus. And one person here was the first time boarding a plane, so had to apply for the passport and everything. Was nice. And so I trained them, and also I trained local students. In total, this trip, I took 9 Virginia Tech students. What I do in these trips is to take them across elevations, the ocean, the mid elevations, and the Andes, so they can understand the changes in ecosystems and climate with local students, so they also have they gain this cultural exposure. And then in Spain is where we spent most of the time. This is my host, Carles. I met him in my second postdoc, then I contacted him because I told my wife I want to go to China 1 year, and she said no. She said briefly China and then Europe. So we went to Europe, Uh, I included this here because it was in Catalonia, in Barcelona, and I speak Spanish, but I don't speak Catalan. So it was a challenge to learn the language. And in the end, they actually enjoy it when I was having a micro chat with them in Catalan. It was in an institution that is like federal government, related, linked to academia. So they have an office in the university, but they are not academicians per se, like USGS, Co-op, or a figure like that that we have here. My achievements were 22 papers submitted, removing what I did during the spring before leaving in 2024. So everything here is done there during the sabbatical. Mainly papers that were in the making. I have a paper that was 7 years in a folder, double click and submit it. That's all I did. And for one of these, wrote 5 proposals as a PI for federal funding. I'm not going to tell you what's the result because we don't want to hear that. Seminars, one mock study abroad because they didn't get credit, but now I know how difficult it might be if I do a study abroad, and I'm thinking if I want to do that. 2 international courses in Chile, learning new technologies and cultures. I was with so much time that I accepted invitations to be reviewers in 3 NIH panels, 1 NSF panel, began to accept papers to review. Now I have 0 time. It's impressive. And I was with so much time free that I accepted to work in 3 journals. These are the journals. In this one, I'm the editor-in-chief. If you work in landscape ecology, please send your papers, please. If I can accumulate 20 papers, they are going to give us impact factor. This journal has been around like 14 years. It's a good journal, but they focus too much on reviews, I think. This is the other journal, associate editor here, and we have a special issue now on gaps on understanding biodiversity. So again, submit your papers. Now the well-being side, very briefly. I went to Guatemala. I'm originally from Guatemala, so I went there like almost 3 months. We generally go for 1 week, Christmas, New Year, something like that. Now we spent most of the summer there. It was nice to see the family, to allow my daughter to speak more with Guatemalan accent. Visited my family, fathers-in-law. It was nice to revisit the family. I visited LA for the first time because when we went to China, we wanted like very slow trips. So went to LA, spent there 4 days, then China, one single flight instead of the many connections, right? And that's something we're going to include in the paper. What's interesting, I think the closer I have been to hell in terms of temperature. We were in the San Fernando Valley. I didn't know that. Nobody told me. Then we went to Shanghai just for fun. But I included here photos of China in general. This is the daycare. And to go from the second to the first floor, kids can use the slider. Super fancy facilities. Toilets, different kinds of toilets. I was glad for that because she wanted to use the Western one. We had a lot of interaction with the students, and that was by far more enriching, I think, culturally than going with the faculty, because they are like, okay, we have never tried this, but we have an open budget. It was nice. This is in an airport, and again, I was telling you that in other countries, airports are more friendly for kids. Health systems around the world, much better than what we're used to be here. I already knew that, right? I'm from Guatemala, live in Chile, but I guess that would be nice for some of you that haven't had the opportunity to live in other countries to take this opportunity, make new friends. This is my host, his daughter, and his father. Trying to socialize, right? We need to blend. Food was fantastic. China, maybe the best food in the world to me. And among the dishes, Peking duck, fresh food, and also all the experiences of cooking dumplings, visiting the Great Wall. Something we found at some point is that my daughter cannot remember the breakfast she had today. So she's going to forget all these experiences. So we focus on us having fun and having photos for her to watch later. In Mexico, we went to Mexico City, Puebla. I guess that the best for me was to organize the wedding of my brother in Puebla. And obviously, Lucha Libre. We also celebrated the Day of the Dead, and it was a nice opportunity to explain death to my daughter in a more friendly way, learn about the food. And this is Don Carlos. Don Carlos is a taquero. They have a food truck that is not a truck. Okay. And he was able to graduate his 3 children from university, a puro taco, only tacos. None of his children is going to follow the dynasty of the tacos, so that tacos are ending here. So I had the opportunity. Puebla is very interesting because it's the nucleus of diversification of tacos. You can find there like ancestral kinds of tacos. Tacos al pastor were born here. And in Spain, we visited many parts of Spain. It was hard to find photos from there. So I promise, this is my host. This is Mel, which means honey in Catalan, and Regina, my daughter. And they are 24 hours difference, 23 hours difference. This is the village where we were living. It's a medieval town. Actually, the school where they go are the ruins of the castle. And I promised my host to show you this photo. Do you know what is this? Why they use the water in the doors, at the doors? To scare cats. They have a stray cat problem. And they believe that using that to scare them. There is no scientific evidence of that. I found that very interesting. Good. This is the village from another view. And something we did a lot is eat in Michelin restaurants for, this one was like $30. So super cheap compared with if you want to go to a Michelin restaurant here. So excellent food, cheap, just eating a tomato, a different experience. It was, to me, worth all the efforts and the papers and everything just for the food. We also went to Italy, have fun there. We went to Pompeii. This is Plaza de San Pedro, St. Peter's Square. And somebody from BBC came to ask me about the Pope. And I had no idea about that. So they just left me behind. It was nice. We went to France, never been in Paris before. Wanted to visit, obviously, Natural History Museum, a species that had been extinct, and wanted to see the office of a person that was the first woman to have a Nobel Prize, the first person to have 2 Nobel Prizes, and I think the only, or maybe the first person to have a child who got a Nobel Prize. No, who's this? Marie Curie, right? That's the office. Mine is better, and I don't have any achievements. We went to Morocco because it's close, cheap in terms of the flights, all the different colors, flavors. It's avocado smoothie. It was a really nice experience for us to learn more from this side of the world. For my wife, first time, and my daughter, first time in Africa. And then we came back and we went to visit my daughter just to pick up my cat. We have a cat, and my daughter was 1 year asking for the cat. So we have all these museums and culture, and we say, my sister, take us to, she lives in San Antonio, take us to the things to see here. This is the Alamo. And that's it. I don't find it. Plans for reentry, think ahead of your return, like plan, have a plan, I think, don't just show up. Identify ways to share your findings, like this seminar, integrate new skills in your teaching or your research, sustain the network that you began, and leave room for serendipity, which Brenda said, right? Like, don't plan too much. The do's, prepare ahead of time and enjoy the planning, secure funding, could be accommodation, find a place for your family to have fun, not only work, change the time zone. And this was advice from Quinn Thomas. They went to Australia. And he told me, try to find a place with a different time zone, because I tried to be in committees and things, and I wasn't able to attend. So I say, China. So never was, I was always unable to attend anything. Have an institution where you can learn. I will go abroad, right? And be sure that you rest. And things don't expect your host to be available. And that was an advice I got from Lauren Childs. He was in a sabbatical next. Do you have any advice? And she said, I came here and my host was busy all the time. So I saw that as a huge gift, actually. And don't stay connected to your office. Don't have an abrupt immersion to the work, like the same pace of work. Don't work hard. Don't be worried about the school of your children when you have children, or if you have children. And don't wait. Take a sabbatical once you are eligible. That will be my suggestions. And finally, I'm going to close with this. Sorry for taking too long. How I think sabbaticals should be measured: the flights that you fly, the pounds that you gain or you lost. Sorry for the typo. The amount of photos that you take, or the new friends that you gain. And with that, I would like to thank you for your time.
Don't work too hard this is good. We're all in different places. Got 5 minutes or so for questions. Yes.
So one of the things you mentioned about sabbatical is to take some relaxed time. But apparently you need another year to recover from your sabbatical.
Yeah, I guess that is something we knew that we were going to travel a lot, and that was a bit exhausting, but our daughter was not at school, so we can just move with her everywhere. But for the next one, we already know that we're going to take the whole year in only one place, not a lot of travel, so our child can go to school. And definitely, I'm looking forward for the next sabbatical. Yeah. A mistake I committed, it was when I came back in May, and I had to come back for the kind of immigration status I have. I came back and I began going to the office in June. So the whole summer I was working in my office, 3 days a week, but still working. Next time I'm not going to come. Like, I'm going to take that time to relax, do chores, and yeah. Thank you.
What does your wife do?
She's here. She was doing this all the time. Speaking. She's a doctor of law, has a master's of environmental law, but likes to teach. So she decided to return to school and is doing a PhD in climate change and gender here at Tech.
So were you able to work on your PhD while you were playing that?
Well, it's a long story. I tried. And I think I was the one that take most advantage of the sabbatical. I took less and relax and travel.
Yeah, no. You were,
Yeah, no.
I don't know.
I might have a question for you then. So you mentioned that your daughter was in school in some places, but then not in school in other places. So when she wasn't in school, how did you make that work?
I'm sorry. What do you want to?
You have the microphone.
Yeah, she didn't. My daughter didn't go to school in Northern Guatemala, but we have a network of family there. So we would just, okay, ciao. But in the other places, she went to school to Spain, to China, to Mexico. And there the hosts play a key role, like trying to talk with the principal of the schools. And it was very enriching for all and for my daughter, I think. I guess that it was a nice experience, yeah. But the host, you want hopefully somebody that has empathy, that you have children or that they have children, so that facilitates everything. Yes.
What percentage of professors are able to take a sabbatic?
Say again?
Do you know what percentage of professors are able to take a sabbatic?
Oh, no, I asked for those numbers for the last 10 years here to have an idea. But no, I don't know how many are eligible and how many of those eligible take that. And if they take that at the time, yeah, and also it seems, that's my hunch, that most faculty at Virginia Tech only take one semester. Yeah, it's hardly 4 years. Thank you.
I just jump in real
Yeah.
quick? It's a fair number, but I will say there's a huge range in the types of things people do, and a lot of them with families or dual career issues will stay closer to home and do individual trips or something like that, and other people will just. My husband and I are fortunate that we were both on the faculty and we're able to coordinate ours. And just anyway, there's a lot of people make it work then.
What's the biggest challenge that you had to face when you eventually had to readjust to Black?
The fall. I think the fall. It was hard because in China we don't have time, but I had some photos of our place in China, very humble, and we didn't cook a lot because we were eating outside for $1 big meal, fantastic, fresh, delicious. The same in the rest of the country. So I guess that the food was a bit difficult. Yeah. Anyways, thank you so much.
Any of the students or postdocs here didn't sign up yet, would like free lunch, seriously, right? See if you're ready to do a good job.
I'm not. She's pretty cool.